And showtime. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the ChannelPro 5-Minute Roundup. We'll look at news, trends, and tips for the SMB channel in 5 minutes or thereabouts. My name is Rich Freeman. I am executive editor of the ChannelPro Network and one of your hosts on this program. I am joined this week by my co-host, Eric Simpson, a business improvement and transformation consultant for MSPs and other IT providers. Eric, let me wish you a belated Happy New Year and Happy Holidays.
Thank you, Rich, and Happy New Year right back at you. This is awesome. Our first podcast in the new year, so we're trying to dust off the cobwebs and the bugs and get back into our sync, aren't we?
We certainly are, yes. So strap yourself in, folks. This could be an interesting one. It's been 2 solid weeks since we've done one of these, and by golly, you'd think we'd never done one. But here we are. We are back. And we've got some news to talk about this week. The new year got off to a bang. In fact, what we discovered this week, just a few days ago, was that Veeam, the data protection vendor, very well known, growing like a rocket ship, has been acquired by Insight Partners, a private equity firm. Now, Insight Partners might be a familiar name. They own Kaseya, along with another private equity firm called TPG, but Insight Partners has owned Kaseya since 2013. Kaseya, of course, owns Unit Trends and Rapid Fire Tools, IT Glue, ID Agent, and a whole bunch of others. So the Insight Partner folks are very much in the channel world already, and now they have purchased one of the biggest data protection vendors out there, and they bought them for $5 billion. This was not a small transaction. So some of the interesting things about the deal, the 2 co-founders of the company are stepping off the board, stepping out of their day-to-day duties. They will be replaced by some existing executives at the company who were named before. They will be replaced on the board by some folks who work for Insight. Veeam today is a Swiss company. They are moving the company in conjunction with this transaction to the U.S. I don't know exactly where the headquarters will be, but Veeam will become a U.S. company under new leadership. This deal, by the way, is pending. It's expected to close in the first quarter of the year. It's likely to go through. Very little word at this point on what any of this is likely to mean for Veeam's partners. The reason that they're doing this, Veeam says, is that this is going to give them the resource and the capitals that they need to kind of move into what they call the second act of the company's history. The company was founded in 2006. It originated as a company doing backup for virtual machines, hence the name Veeam. But they've really kind of broadened beyond that. They're doing all kinds of backup right now, and they see themselves as having a big opportunity in front of them in what they call hybrid cloud data management. They're really, they feel like they're in a good position to launch that phase of the corporate evolution. They're going to have the resources certainly at their disposal to do that now. With Insight Partners behind them. So that right there is certainly an interesting story, and we'll be watching on what this means for the company, its product line, its partners, et cetera. But part of what jumps out about this to me is just that it indicates that we're kind of entering, I think, a new phase, another phase in this whole private equity story that, we've been talking about this for years. Private equity firms have been buying up important companies in the channel for a long time. We remember October 2017, they bought Datto. We don't know what the price tag was for that, but there's good reason to believe it was 1.2, 1.3 billion. ConnectWise, a little under a year ago, got bought up by Thoma Bravo, another private equity firm. Again, don't know the exact price tag. We have good reason to believe it was in the vicinity of 1.5 billion. Those are big numbers. But the numbers that we've been talking about lately are much, much bigger. In fact, $5 billion for Veeam, $6 billion for Tech Data recently. I believe it was 3.9. It was either 3.6 or 3.9 for Sophos late last year. So you're seeing, and Bloomberg reported last week that there's something like 1.5 trillion with a T dollars worth of available investment capital sitting in private equity firms globally right now. And so the IT industry is a great place for that capital to go. The managed services market is a great place within IT for it to go because of the magic of recurring revenue that we all know about. So I think this will probably not be the last of these mega private equity purchases, Eric. And I guess the real question here is, when do we see our first $10 billion deal?
Well, I tell you, the way things are going, that might be a couple of weeks from now. This was really, really an interesting valuation, just from a size perspective, as you mentioned, Rich. I mean, and And, it is definitely a seller's market. These PE firms just seem to be, it is, they are very, very competitive in these, if you look at the three primary venture capital firms that have been making these acquisitions, it's almost like, Datto got purchased. Well, we better purchase, the number two backup, so there is this almost the feeling that you get when there's a bidding war going on. It's like, well, we've got to keep up with the Joneses. If not, we're going to be left behind. And it is driving these value. I mean, I'm sure it's a key factor in driving these valuations up. It spins my, it spins my head. It just seems like, every couple of podcasts we have some big acquisition news to talk about, and it being a seller's market, and really, the guidance here for folks that are thinking about, what to do with their businesses. The first, I'm going to say the first crop of MSPs, that I belong to, are and the folks that I'm working with are getting to the point in their businesses, in the history of their business, where they're trying to figure out what is that next chapter? What is the next step? Do I want to continue running this practice? Do I want to grow through acquisition? Do I want to just position myself to sell at a very high valuation? Those are the decisions that I'm helping partners make now. So folks, if you haven't got your ducks in a row and have perfected your processes and have gotten your financials certified and have been preparing in case someone comes knocking on the door, there is no better time than 2020 to get your house in order, because you never know what's going to happen. I mean, this activity is spanning the vendor channel, the distributor channel, the MSP channel, the cloud solution provider channel. Boy, the MSSP channel. It is hot right now, Rich.
And, really great point about MSPs actually being a target for some of that private equity capital as well. We're absolutely seeing that. And I'm going to use that as a perfect segue into your tip of the week, because it's not just any and every MSP that's going to be an attractive acquisition target to a private equity investor. They're going to be looking for larger, more sophisticated firms, but they're going to be looking for firms that have something unique to bring to the table.
Absolutely, Rich. So that perfect segue, tip of the week, folks. Perfect your unique value proposition. Now, if you're a business owner and have been running your business for many years, chances are you've developed a unique value proposition that you've been using for a long time. I'm working with several clients right now, Rich, where I'm looking at their value proposition and it's not in alignment with today's business, SMB business owners, or the economy, or the pains and challenges that people are experiencing today. So differentiate and distinguish yourself by dusting off your unique value proposition. And it's got to have two key components. It's got to have the gain drivers, right? Positive gains that your target market is looking for in an IT provider, in a technology partner. They want positive things that can keep them abreast of new technologies that they can bring to bear to accelerate their business growth and achieve their business vision. They want the security aspect to know that in today's environment of, every couple of minutes we're seeing a new threat being released, attacking not only business owners, but now, as we've been reporting on, Rich, MSPs themselves, to try to penetrate their customer infrastructures and networks and steal and ransom data. It's got to help that organization, again, accelerate business growth, being a strategic consumer of technology. So the gain drivers, and then the pain relievers, right? So what is it that we're going to help relieve the pain of that organization? Some of the same things, almost the opposite. It's like giving you the peace of mind to know that we're securing your infrastructure and your environment, so you won't have to worry about hackers or script kiddies coming in and doing simple things like sending phishing emails because your end users aren't trained in being a target for that. Increasing efficiencies, workflows, mitigating pain and risk. Cyber liability insurance policies come to mind as one of those easy services that you could resell to give clients peace of mind in case something does happen, how they're going to recover and where those funds are going to come from, even if it's simply to pay you or your strategic vendor partners to help remediate those situations. So the gain drivers and the pain relievers, and really constructed in the form of just a couple of simple sentences that drive your unique value proposition to your audience. And that also can make you attractive to folks that are trying to look for acquisition targets. So make sure that you might mix in a couple of the industry buzzwords. I mean, what we're talking about here, Rich, are things like, AI, big data, things like that. And that also can attract the right type of SMB or mid or enterprise client, whatever your target audience is. So time to dust off that unique value proposition and perfect it for moving forward.
And the key word there is unique, and that's what makes this exercise difficult. But if your value proposition is we have outstanding customer service, we really know technology forwards and backwards, everybody does, everybody says that, you really have to be looking at what it is that you can offer that's going to set you apart a little bit. And it can be vertical industry expertise, it can be expertise in some of those buzzword kind of areas that you were talking about, or anything else. Something is, CRM is not necessarily a new technology or a buzz phrase in the industry, but if you're really good at it, if you're really good at business intelligence, that's something that's going to set you apart a little bit. And then I think the thing that you really hit home there that's very important is it's not really, you don't want to build your value proposition around how good you are at keeping the lights on. You really need to be offering strategic advice and assistance to companies that's going to help them grow and solve business problems.
Yeah, absolutely, Rich. And, just a last takeaway tip here, just search the internet for, great companies' value propositions. You can search on that stuff and you can see value propositions from companies that are respected in all industries, and look at how they're formulating those and use those as kind of guidance to put your thoughts into that new evolved value proposition that you're going to go to market with in 2020.
Okay, really great stuff. We have got time, though, for just one more story this week. And, we've moved past the holidays now, but it's maybe a good time to look back, reflect a little bit on what we've learned from this recently concluded holiday season. And here's a lesson or two, maybe a few in this story here. It comes to us from Minnesota. So there's a company, a manufacturing company there of some kind that, every year it gives the employees a Christmas gift. It's a nice thing for employers to do for them employees. Normally, for the past 5 years in a row anyway, that gift has consisted of candy and cookies and beef jerky snacks that people appreciated. This year, everyone unwrapped their gift and found that it contained a $5.99 bottle of Get Sauced Hickory BBQ sauce. This was a little bit disappointing to one of the employees of the company, and he went on a Twitter account, an anonymous Twitter account, mind you. He didn't identify himself, who he really is or who he works for. It's just his anonymous Twitter account, and he kind of pointed out that this was sort of a lame Christmas gift from his point of view. And by golly, somebody at his employer found that, and he was chastised about it at first and then fired over it. So a couple of thoughts here. If you get a gift at work from the boss, just even if you don't like it, just let it go. You probably don't want to go on Twitter and talk about it. And if somebody does talk about the fact that they didn't really enjoy the barbecue sauce you gave them, maybe, especially if it's not on a work-related account, you shouldn't be just showing them the door. I don't know if there are any heroes in the story, Eric.
Yeah, that's exactly my thought, Rich. It's like nobody wins. Nobody wins in that story. And I'd be surprised if that turns Twitter into just turns it upside down. These kinds of stories tend to really viscerally affect Twitter users, and I'm sure that it's gone viral and gotten tons and tons of commentary on both sides. So again, there's just no clear winners there. And business owners, I mean, come on. Okay, I'm just going to leave it at that. Come on. on every aspect of that story. $5.99 and then
it could be really great sauce.
And then you know what? You're gonna like our sauce, or you're out the door. Come on, please, please. So I'm gonna put more of the fault on this story on the business owner's side than on the employee side.
Yeah.
You know what? Poor leadership being shown on that side of the house. I'm sorry to say.
Merry belated Christmas, but at least you're walking away from your job with a $6 bottle of sauce. And there was actually a barbecue scraper thrown in the deal, so that maybe changes everything. But that is all the time that we've got here this week for you on the 5-Minute Roundup. Thank you very much for joining us on our first 2020 episode. We are looking forward to a wonderful year ahead with you here. If you like the show, you want to keep up on new episodes as they become available, maybe take a look at some older ones you haven't seen. What you want to do is go to the ChannelPro Network channel on YouTube and subscribe to that. Make sure you click the little bell there so you get notifications when new episodes go up. You want to read more about insight buying Veeam and all sorts of other stuff happening in the industry, get all sorts of great business growth advice for your company. The place to go every day is channelpronetwork.com. We've got great new content for you going up there all the time. To learn more about Erick and the work that he does with his clients, you can actually see the URL there behind him. It is ericksimpson.com, E-R-I-C-K, Simpson.com. So that is all the time we have this week. We will be back actually side by side in Santa Barbara, California for you next week with another episode of the 5-Minute Roundup. Until then, please enjoy the rest of your week. Erick and I are enjoying the rest of your week already.